Okay, good evening. Welcome to
FamilyMath1085.
Yeah, I think 1085. So we were just talking about this list of these charts of the population, or sorry, the coronavirus outbreak, positive cases by population in every state. And I asked you to go through this chart and take a look at 4 states that you thought were interesting. And then we would talk about them. And the first one you picked is Kansas. And what caught your eye here?
So, in some of the other states, the virus, new cases per day, was growing, sort of from here and sort of mid-April here. And then it sort of leveled off by the beginning of May. But here in Kansas, it seems to have started around the same time, but it leveled off and then has had an increase, and it appears to be on the downtrend, but still this is a kind of a late increase.
Yeah. Okay, so why do you think that might have been the case, that there could be later, the peak was later in Kansas?
Well, maybe Kansas is sort of, I don't think there's any huge population centers. It's not as densely populated, so maybe the low number of cases represent a few towns. Mm-hmm. Maybe people travel there, bring it to a town, but not to a large area, and then maybe in this region it reached a large area.
Oh, okay, yeah, that definitely could be the case. All right, what's the second one you picked?
I picked Nebraska here.
Okay, I guess gonna scroll that down a little bit. Okay.
So this one also had kind of a late increase, and the virus really started to grow around mid-April, and it's stopped towards the beginning of May, but maybe a little after. And here, like some of the other states, again, just sort of went right into that period of growth, but there's sort of a tail on the other side for Nebraska, and then it suddenly has jumped to being a lot of cases per day.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's the third state?
We have New Jersey.
Okay. And bring that down about a little. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Good.
All right. So here the period of growth started very early and climbed, stopped a little after the beginning of April, and just sort of stayed stagnant for a bit. At the top of this curve, just looked like the top of the curve got chopped off, and then it continues down the other side normally, which is a little bit strange. You would expect more of a flatter or more defined curve, something following that pattern, but just the top part was excluded completely.
So it sort of got really bad in New Jersey and stayed bad for almost all through April. Yeah. As they were detecting, 40 new cases per 100,000 people every day, about roughly in April. And then it started falling. It's fallen a lot, which is, I guess, good news.
Yeah, it's good.
So why do you think New Jersey had a very different shape than Kansas and Nebraska?
Well, New Jersey, I think it's on the East Coast. It's close to Boston and New York, which both had big outbreaks, mainly New York. So people from there were more likely to travel to New Jersey, and I think it might be more densely populated than some of the Midwestern states.
Okay, yeah, interesting. All right, last one.
So this is down South Dakota.
Okay.
This is interesting because it's one of the only ones that is experiencing a second wave of the virus. So There's a first curve here, and that they sort of reached the end, but there was still a very large number of new cases per day. Like, it was still close, kind of close to the top of that curve, but then the cases per day started climbing again, and it's actually gotten higher than the first curve, and only now is it starting to go down.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, it was, South Dakota was, I think, the only one that had, so far, has shown this 2 peaks. I guess hopefully it's the only one that ever shows it, but I guess we'll know in a few months.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So it's interesting to see how the outbreak is very different in different states across the country.
Yeah.
It's actually surprising how different it is, but it's really interesting to see, and it's neat to see how actually with Mathematica it was actually really easy to make these graphs. So it's nice to be able to see them.
Yeah.
All right. Good job, hun.